Hello, everyone. As you know, we have been studying geotechnical engineering as per the syllabus of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Technical University, Lucknow. So, geotechnical engineering consists of 5 units. Unit 1 already we have covered, and Unit 2, which consists of 2 parts, permeability and sewage, have also been studied in the previous lectures. So today we shall begin about the Unit 3. We shall begin Unit 3, right? Unit 3 also consists of 2 parts. The one is compaction and the another is consolidation. So we shall talk about the compaction. See, whenever we talk about the compaction, where compaction is required? Where compaction is required? Whenever you are going to construct highway embankments or earth dams, and we should know that soil is itself a construction materials. By using the soil itself, we have to construct the highway embankments or earth dams. Definitely, at the time of construction of highway embankments or the earth dams, we need compaction, right? We have to compact the soil. Suppose existing soil deposit filled loosely, that has to be also constructed before construction of any civil engineering structures, right? Why compaction is required? To increase the soil density and improve their strength characteristics, the bearing capacity, right? The shear strength parameters are going to improve once you compact the soil. So here you can see the definition. The densification of soil by application of mechanical energy is known as compaction. See, the mechanical energy is nothing but you can use the different means like damper or rammer for the compaction. You can use the rollers for the compaction, right? So using the mechanical energy, we can densify the soil, right, by the compaction method. It is a process by which the soil grains get rearranged more closely. Once you are going for compaction, what happens? The particles are rearranged. Wherever the vacant space is there in between the solid particle, the smaller particles fill the void space, right? And the soil gets densified, soil gets compacted, right? So normally what happens? Rearrangement of particles takes place and the volume of air voids get reduced. The density of the soil increased. Compaction leads to an increase in shear strength and helps to improve stability and bearing capacity of soil. So once you are going to compact the soil, what is going to happen? The shear strength, we can increase the shear strength, we can improve the stability of the soil, and bearing capacity of soil can also be improved. And other advantage is that it can reduce the compressibility and permeability of the soil, right? So compaction can also help in the reduction of compressibility or settlement and permeability. Detrimental settlements can be prevented. Undesirable volume changes through swelling and shrinkage can be controlled, right? So compaction can also help to control the detrimental settlements, right? In case of the swelling and shrinkage characteristics of soil. We can see this figure, how the before compaction and after compaction, how soil looks. You can see here the first figure, the air, water, or the solid, right? Once you are going to compact it, the volume, the air, the amount of air or air space or the vacant space is going to be reduced, right? So here you can see this is the compacted soil. The next, the consolidation. Whenever you talk about the consolidation, the soil should be fully saturated. You can see water and solid is there. Once it is going to consolidate, the water is going to come out, right? The expulsion of water takes place and the volume is going to decrease, right? Now we can see what are the differences between the compaction and consolidations. We can see in the case of compaction, expulsion of air. That means in the voids, air is going to be expelled. It is going to be expelled. The air is going to be expelled. The space is going to be reduced. Here, in case of consolidation, expulsion of pore water takes place. It is called an instantaneous phenomena, and this is time-dependent phenomena. It takes long time. Settlement takes lots of time. Soil in whole is partially saturated. Whenever you are going to compact the soil should be partially saturated, and in this case, it should be fully saturated. This compaction can be used for the cohesive as well as for the cohesionless soil, whereas the consolidation is possible only in case of cohesive soil. In this case, dynamic load is commonly applied whenever you are going to use the tamper or the roller. Definitely it is a dynamic load, right? Whereas in case of consolidation, the structures settle, right? When the voids are filled with the water, and a structure is nothing but it is a static load. So a static load is commonly applied. So these are the difference in between the compaction and consolidation. Now we shall see how we can determine the compaction in the laboratory, right? This is there are two methods are there. One is called as a standard Proctor test, right? R.R. Proctor was the researcher. He developed this method. So one is a standard Proctor test, and another is called as modified Proctor test. So we shall see here in this test to assess what we do to assess the amount of compaction and the water content required in the field. Compaction tests are done on the same soil in the laboratory. Suppose you want to construct any road or highway. In that case, what you have to do, we have to bring the soil sample from the field, and that soil we have to compact in the laboratory, and accordingly we have to find out the water content and the dry density, maximum dry density and optimum water content, and the same optimum water content and maximum dry density you have to maintain in the field, right? That is the meaning of this paragraph. So we can see this is the standard Proctor test. You can see that various shapes, various sizes are given there. This is called a rammer, and this bottom part is called as compaction mold, and the top one is called as collar. You can see this is the smaller. This is a mold, rammer. Again, this is a mold and rammers, right? So depending upon the different test, whether it is a standard Proctor test or the modified Proctor test, we can use these operators. As I told you, we have to find out the relation between the water content and dry density. We shall see in the next slides how we have to determine different water content and different dry density, and accordingly we have to find out the maximum dry density and optimum water content. We can see these procedures as per IS 2720 recommends the mold of 100 mm dia, 127.3 millimeter height, and 1000 ml capacity. You can see here, this is the rammer, okay? And from here, this is the compaction mold, and the top one is called as collar, okay? So the diameter is 100 mm, and the volume of this mold is 1000 ml. The height is 127.3. So what we have to do further, we have to also use the rammer. The weight of this rammer is 2.6 kg, and it will drop from the standard. In case of a standard Proctor test, it drops from the height of 31 centimeter or 310 millimeter, and the face diameter is 50 mm. and it is compacted in 3 layers. So what we have to do, whenever you are going to carry out this test, you have to mix the water content. You have to mix the water in the soil, and we have to divide that soil in 3 parts. So first soil we have to fill as a first layer. We have to compact it, right, by providing 25 blows. So each layer has to be provided 25 blows, and then again we shall put the next portion of the soil, and we shall go for the again 25 blows. Again the third layers we shall put 25 blows. So likewise we have to compact it, and you can see the mold is fixed to a detachable base plate, right? This base plate is detachable. This can be removed also, and the height of the collar is 60 millimeter. So what we have to do, we have to take 3 kg air dry pulverized soil sample, and which must pass through 4.75 millimeter sieve, right? 3 kg soil passed through 4.75 millimeter sieve. Then suppose at the time of sieving, if the soil retained on the 4.75 mm sieve is more than 20%, in that case, what we can do, we can use the different mold, which will have diameter 150 mm. You can see here, 2 figures are there. This is the small mold, this is the bigger mold. This may be 100 mm dia, this may be 150 mm dia. So as I told you, if the retainment of soil on 4.75 mm sieve is more than 20%, in that case, we can use 150 mm dia, right? The height will remain same, but the volume is going to change. The volume of this mold will be 2250 ml. So as you know, in case of previous slides we have seen, we can go for 25 blows for each layer, but here the size of the particle is more because 20% are going to retain. So here we have to apply 56 blows instead of 25 blows for each layer. Here, now the question comes, what should be the values of water content? What we have to do, we have to use the add water 4% if the soil is coarse grain soil, and 8% if in case of fine grain soil. So likewise, we have to increase the water content. Suppose in the beginning, you are going to find out the determine the compaction test in the laboratory for the coarse grain soil. In that case, in the beginning, we have to use the 4% water content. Okay, 4% water content of your soil weight, and then again we have to increase it. You can increase by 3%, then 437%, then 10%, then 13%. Like that, you can increase because you have to draw the graphs in between the dry density and water content. In case of fine grain soil, we have to begin from 8%. So we shall see further. And we also know that the bulk density is equal to mass by volume. And dry density is, we can determine bulk density divided by 1 plus water content. So what we are going to do, once you are going to compact this soil, either in the bigger mold or the smaller mold. So in that case, we have to find out the bulk density. We can find out the mass of the soil divided by the volume of the mold, right? Excluding the color. Color we are not going to take. The volume, as far as the volume is concerned, we have to take the only volume of the mold. So mass of the soil by the volume of the soil, we can find out the bulk density. And we for the same sample, we can find out the water content also. So that the bulk density divided by water content, we can determine the dry density. Now we shall see, while carrying out these experiments, we have to also draw the compaction curve. As I told you in the beginning, we have to find out the maximum dry density and optimum water content. So whatever the soil which you are going to compact it in the field, either for the highway embankment or the filling of the filling area. You are going to compact the filling area. So wherever you are going to carry out the compaction, for that soil only, you have to find out the maximum dry density and optimum water content. Okay. So as I told you that you have to mix the water with the soil, 4%. You have to start for 4% for the coarse grain soil and 8% for the fine grain soil. So ultimately, we have to increase the water content. Okay. So you are going to increase the water content, and for the same soil, if you are going to you are increase 4%, for example, in case of coarse grain soil. So if you have to find out the bulk density and water content, right? See, water content 4% you are going to use, but once you are going to mix it, the water may evaporate. That's why we have to also find out the once again also you have to find out the water content of the mixed soil, right? Which may be 3.9% because 0.1% may evaporate into the atmosphere while mixing. That's why every time water content is required to find out. Okay, so let us see actually the procedures, how we have to draw the compaction curve. That is also called a moisture content and dry density relationship. What is written there? The addition of water to dry soil help in bringing the soil particles together by coating thin with a thin films of water. Normally, at low water content, you are going to use the dry soil for compaction test. When we are going to mix the water content for either for the 4% or 8%, depending upon the type of soil, in the beginning, the soil will remain stiff and it will not it will not pack together. Why? Because the soil acts as a lubricant. So as the amount of soil you are going to increase, the density is also going to increase, because in between the voids of the bigger size particles, the smaller particles are going to be filled, right? And as you know, as I told you that the water acts as a lubricant. Okay, so actually it increases the workability. Workability means here the particles slides to each others. So what is going to happen in the big voids? Due to the sliding, one particle slides to the other particles because of the water content. Water content acts as a lubricant. So the smaller particles fills into the voids of the voids, right? And the soil gets compacted. So density is also going to increase. So here we can see, this also we have to understand, the figure we can see. What we have to do at this water content, what is the dry density? You are going to increase the water content for in the same soil sample. And parallelly, you have to also find out the water content as well as the dry density. Water content and dry density. So you are going to find out the various points, okay, various water contents and the dry density. And accordingly, we have to draw the graphs. We shall see further. As more and more water is added, a stage is reached there. The water content of the soil attains a minimum volume, right? That means soil is going to be compacted. All these small particles are going to fill in the vacant space created by the bigger particles, and the dry density will be maximum. So what is going to happen? See, the various water content, for various water content, you have achieved the corresponding dry density. So for this water, what is the dry density for this water content? The density for this water content. You have to find out the density. You can see as you are going to increase the water content, the density is also going to decrease, right? That also we shall discuss now. So we are going to get the curve like this way. We are going hyperbolic curves, right? And this is called a 100% compaction. The curve we are going to get like this way. So what we have to do, this is the crest. So from here we have to draw one vertical lines on the x-axis, because on the x-axis water content and the y-axis dry densities. So you can see here addition of water beyond the optimum water content reduces the dry density because the extra water starts occupy the space which should have the occupied. That means what? Actually, what is going to happen? Once you are going to increase the water content in the soil, the water content is going to occupy this space where the soil particle has to occupy this space, right? So in that case, the density is going to decrease. You can see at this water content, density is lower. As the water content is increasing, density is going to decrease. Here also you can see the water content at this water content is high, but the density is low, right? So that's why it is written here, addition of water beyond the optimum reduces the dry density because the extra water starts occupying the space which the soil could have occupied. The state at the peak is said to be that of 100% compaction. This point is called 100% compaction at a particular compactive effort. And the curve, we are going to, all the points we are going to smoothly join, which will be in the form of a hyperbolic form, right? So what is, we have to talk about this graph. Once you have drawn the compaction curve, right? Compaction curve means the graph in between the water content and the dry density. So what is our target? Our target is to achieve the maximum dry density and the optimum water content. So this is the maximum dry density and this is the optimum water. This point is optimum water content, which may be 30%, 20%, right? So depending upon your data, you have to draw the graphs and you have to find out both these values. Now, what I'm trying to say here, you can see from the left side of the graph, left side of this optimum, this is optimum water content. So it is called a dry of optimum. Actually, the terminology here, from left hand side, we have to say dry of optimum, and right hand side we can say weight of optimum. So see, the dry of optimum we can get for the soil with a small volume changes for the granular soils or clay sand and the sandy clay. So for this type of soil, this is dry of optimum we can use. And for weight of optimum we can go for the expensive and collapsible soil. Here you can see that this is called 100% compaction, this point. And as normally the 95% is the acceptable range. Now in between the 100% and 95%, this range is called as acceptable range. That means what? If you are going to compact the granular soil or clay sand or sandy clay, even at 95% of this compaction, right? That definitely the water content will be these values and the compact density will be this here, right? So even in between this, from here to here, this will be considered as a acceptable water content, okay? And the acceptable water content on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, this value we can consider as a the optimum dry density, maximum dry density for this type of soil. Similarly, for expensive or collapsible soil, right? Or we can say, whenever you are going to use the clay as a core in the earthen dam, in that case, we have to go for the weight of the optimum, right? Because clay is having this swelling and shrinkage property. So here also, the maximum density we can achieve up to here, right? That means 100% in between 100% and 95%. So here 95% in between, from here to here, we can get the maximum dry density, which is called as 95% of the maximum dry density. And any water content in between this range, you can use it, right? So this is the acceptable range of water content for the expensive soil, right? And this is called as weight of optimum, because this is the main maximum dry density or optimum water content line. So this side, right hand side, this range is called as weight of optimum, and this side we can up to here, this is called a dry of optimum. So this is all about your today topic. We shall discuss about the next topic, tomorrow. Thank you very much.